All right, well, we're back to our favorite segment, our trademark, the one segment that makes us different from everything else out there, because otherwise we're exactly the same as everyone else. Okay, that is play, shelf, trade. All right, so we like to kind of theme the episodes a little bit. So we reviewed Pampero and we talked about heavy games. So we got to play, shelf, trade some of the three heaviest games about energy. So we're going to do this a little bit different though. What we're going to do is I'm going to start with one of my choices and then we're going to go around the board with what that choice. So I'm like, example, power grid. That's the one I'm going to start with. And then once I say what my play shelf trade is, the next person's going to as well. So, and then we'll go to the next game and we'll go around the board again. So the first game I want to talk about is Power Grid. Power Grid is one of the classic auction games, and it's about just getting the grid of a different country to be up and running and you being a part of it. And for me, this game has reemerged itself as a top tier game. So I am going to say, I would have put this one on my shelf because I want to keep it forever, but right now I'm so hot on this game. That's going to be my play. So Power Grid is 100% play right now, right right this moment. Chris, if you come over, I will play it with you, and we're gonna play the expansions. We're gonna play the little. Thank you for coming, Chris. We're gonna play the campaign cards. We're gonna do it all. I want to experience this game from start to finish. Power Grid is my play. John, what about you? What's Power Grid lie for you?
So I don't say my play. I say what Power Grid is for me.
Yes, exactly.
That ain't my play. Power Grid. As I explained before, how I have game length anxiety, especially in a game that looks like Power Grid. Power Grid is old. It looks old. It comes in a weird box. It's long, and they look like they're working. And so Power Grid is immediately, it's like number 3 with an anvil on my list with these games. So it is definitely my trade. It is going bye-bye. Bye-bye, Power Grid. Daniel can have you.
Chris, what about you?
All right. So first of all, John, I mean, again, people's opinions are their opinions. It's fine. But I really do think you need to give it a try. Again, I like it it's the Knizia factor. It's an old game, so it was super complex back then, but actually now it's pretty light relatively. It's like medium at best, but it has tons of depth. So you should give it a try. But most of all, I love your take about how you just hate the box. You hate the Frame Freeze box. I love it. I don't know why. It's so great. Anyways, so I guess I don't need to make it my play right now because apparently I'm going to get a play no matter what I do with Daniel. So fantastic. So I'm going to put it on my shelf because it is my number one game. I had it ranked as a 10 before we did the show, but I wasn't really sure what my number one game was. I mean, the show as a whole, like around the board, the entire show, not this show. But then over the course of the show, I've realized it's my number one game. So it definitely has to be my shelf because it has to be with me forever. So Andy, what you got?
Well, I think you guys know I'm with John on this one. I've had too many bad experiences with Power Grid. It was an early game, one of the early games I owned. I played it a lot, but it was ruined by playing with, frankly, my brother, who's a CPA and can figure things out. And part of it is, well, I don't want to completely throw him under the bus, but I will, because he'll never watch the show. If he figures out mathematically he can't win the game, he's done. He doesn't want to finish playing the game. He's such a poor sport. But no, it's just too much math for me. It just felt like work. John put it perfectly. And I felt like that of other Friedman Freeze games too. I played Factory Manager and it was even worse. I was just like, what am I doing with my life? I don't want to take an algebra class. I don't want to. No, this is horrible. This is supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be entertaining. It's not. It was none of those things. I wanted it to be. I mean, I thought the theme was trying to be okay with the different forms of power and whatnot, but it just was a big miss for me. And I played it several times. I played it a bunch early on, and I replayed it not too long ago, and again felt the same way. Now I will say this caveat with it, and that is that I have not played very much on any of the other maps besides North America. Chris tells me that that's my big mistake and that I've screwed up because of that. So I guess
the absolute worst map.
I guess I need to try it again on some of the other maps, but right now, in its current form, my past experiences, boom, traded.
So I have to say one more thing about Power Grid before we go to the next one. So when I first got into board gaming, the people who I was playing with, they showed me this cover and they're like, look at this cover. What do you think of it? And I was like, that's the coolest thing I've seen. And they were like, no, this cover's hideous. How can you like this? And I'm like, I don't know. I just do. So I know it's one of those like universally hated covers. I really like it. And I think running a power grid sounds like a blast to play in a game, and it is. So there's my little sidebar. All right. So this play shelf trade has to be the hardest play shelf trade I've ever had. These are probably all top 20 games, if not top 10 games for me. So when I trade one away, just know that I would probably trade every game we've talked about ever, and to play these 3 games. So my next one on the list is going to be Barrage, and I'm going to say Barrage is my trade. I really enjoy Barrage, but it's just I think it's the tightness of it and the take thatness of it. It is really hard for people to truly get into that game and really want to play it over and over again. Also, there's like character powers that also don't always play well together. So out of the 3, I guess this is my trade, but just know I'm doing it with a tear in my eye.
That twinkles like the little
Barrage lay for you.
That trickles down.
It twinkles like the little rocks that represent the water drops in it.
That's
right.
right. That's right. They look like teardrops. I
Very good.
didn't even mean to do that on purpose.
I'm sorry. What did you say Barrage was for you? That's your trade?
Barrage is a trade for me.
Okay, so Barrage for me, I've played it like 2 or 3 times. I think I've enjoyed my plays of it, and I think it's actually going to be my shelf, just because of reasons I'll explain later for the other one. But yeah, I've enjoyed every play of it. And I think it's very thematic for, like I was saying, a lot of times I always think these heavier games are going to lose their theme, but this one, it really keeps it. And it is a lot to take that just by the nature of the game. I mean, that's the way the game is set up to be. And you just know that going in. So it's, and thematically it works. It's like, no, I'm going to get all that water and I'm going to get all the energy out of it. And I'm going to spit one little water droplet out to you, to that big 4 tall high dam you've got that you can't do anything with. Plus you can make all those, you can say damn all the time like you're cussing throughout the game. You know what I'm saying? Did you do that on your damn turn? It was, things like that. But that's always fun to do.
It is a fun
and for that reason, it's staying on my shelf. What you got, Chris?
All right. So for me, kind of in this kind of goes on brand with what we're talking about Pampero. Like Barrage is my trade because it was fine. It wasn't super gratifying, but it wasn't bad either. It was okay. And I feel like I've discovered everything with the game. Like there's, like with Pampero, I'm so like, I feel like I need to play it for more because to learn and find some more. But like I've played Barrage 2, maybe 3 times. And again, I'm just like, it's fine. It's okay. But I don't feel like there's anything left there for me to discover. While my play, which we'll talk about in a minute, I feel it has a lot more to discover. So Andy, what you got?
All right, well, thanks, Chris. Yeah, so Barrage for me is an interesting one. I've only played it once. It was a long time ago, and I really hated it. But all that being said, I'd still rather play it compared to Power Grid because I hate Power Grid that much, which I know is just a sad thing because it's really a popular game with a lot of people, but not with me. Barrage, I need to give it another chance. I really do. I feel like there was some stuff there. It was heavy, certainly. When I was playing it, I don't know. I was playing with Daniel and John, I think, and they knew the game well or better than me, and I didn't at all. And I don't know. I didn't feel very connected to it at the time. But I need to give it another shot. I will say it left me in a state of confusion a little bit. And I just wasn't in a good place to play it that day. I don't know. If I had to compare it to Pampero, for instance, I like Pampero more. It felt like there was more to explore, but there may be something there with Barrage still, so I'll make it my play.
All right, and that brings us to our last game, and that's going to be Pipeline, and that is going to be my shelf. Pipeline is a really cool, thick, heavy Euro thematic game that has tile laying, but also economic engines, and it's just aggressive and in your face. And I really like that about this game. And it is something that I can keep going back to. I keep wanting to try it. Like every time I play it, there's like a new little route to victory I discover, or a new little tech tree that makes the gameplay a little bit differently. So I feel like out of all the 3 that we have talked about so far, this one has the most diverse place from play to play. And so it's worthy to be on the shelf to play over and over and over and over again. John, what about you?
Well, actually, Pipeline is going to be my play, and it's not one that I think is thick. I don't know where that Do they have it? Is that a description of games?
Yeah.
Something
Thick and thin. They're it's a thing I'm making. I'm
He
working.
likes his
you're,
games thick.
you're trying to do.
You know
a
what I
brick,
mean?
baby. Yeah.
I
So
don't.
anyway, but I've always thought Pipeline was a little bit odd though, how it's heavy, crunchy, economic type game, and then you got a little game of Waterworks going on where you're connecting these pipes together. You know what I'm saying? Like the old, hey, throw a wrench on your pipes. Yeah, it reminds me of Waterworks, the old game where you're just building pipes together, and it just seems like an odd mix, but it works. It is a fun game. One thing I've never done in it, you're talking about the different ways to victory, is what is the thing you attach to them to force more oil through the pipeline? There's like, what is it?
It's a machine. It runs it by
Is
itself.
that all it's called
Yeah.
as a machine? Yeah.
Yeah.
I just never had the guts to invest in any of those just because it just seems like such a huge invest.
Oh, and you could totally screw yourself with the machines too, because
That's
you
what I was
can't
worried
run
about.
it manually. You have to do the machines, and if you do it wrong, you just
Yeah.
shot yourself.
Because as you might recall, my first time playing Daniel, when boom, I'm getting these contracts. And I'm like the first one to get like $50,000, and I think I ended with $52,000 because
Nice.
I did not spend wisely. I'm like, well, hey, I'm just going to reinvest, and it's going to just come back, and I'm going to get all this money. No, it did not. It did not. You can't just spend it willy nilly and figure it's going to come back. It does not.
Yeah, it's
be
not
a
like
kid-
real
but I-
life.
Yes, exactly. It's a little bit like real life that way. So, but it's been a while since I played it. Hopefully, I will have relearned those things and won't forget my lessons from the past. But yes, Pipeline is my play. It's a fun game for sure. Old man Chris, what have you got there, buddy?
All right, so yeah, mine for Pipeline's also going to be my play as well. And I feel like in so many ways this is like Great Western Trail 2.0 for me, especially because like Ryan, our good friend, like he just thought Great Western Trail was the greatest thing ever since sliced bread when it first came out, and I was like, it's fine. It's fine after the first time I played it. Now, granted, that very first play was kind of legendary as for a whole lot of reasons, just a lot of weird social dynamics that made that not a very good play. But after a few months later, I actually gave it another try, and I really enjoyed it. Now, to my knowledge, I think I've only played Pipeline once. Maybe I've played it twice. But each time I'm like, if it was twice, I've walked away just being like, I guess it's fine. Fine, I don't know, but again, maybe it's just not jiving with me, and maybe I need to give it a couple more plays, because since then I have played Western Trail, and I do see the Matrix, and I do see the beauty of that game now. So Pipeline's probably right there as well. I probably just need to play it a bit more and really love it. But since Daniel made it just obvious that this has to be my play because I get to play Power Grid for free already because he's making his play, yeah, I'll go give him this play. I want to find out more about it. What about you, Andy?
So, Chris, just to verify, your play was Great Western Trail.
Yep, correct.
Because I think you talked about that more than Pipeline. Anyway,
Fine.
Pipeline. I've got to get a prop. Hold on. Oh gosh, here we go.
All right, you're on the clock, man.
Here we go. It's worth it. Pipeline reminds me of one of my favorite NES games of all time,
Nice.
Gyromite, which you could
Yes.
play with Rob. Do you guys remember
Robotic
Gyromite?
operating buddy.
That's right. That's
Wow.
right. And
I know
and
Rob,
Rob
from
would.
Smash Brothers. I never knew where he came from.
Oh yeah, Rob's, and I've
Yeah.
got this an original Rob right here.
Yes.
And Rob would hold the controller in his hand, and he would open up the pipes so you didn't get squished in Gyromite. So anyway, I don't know why I brought that up. I guess because Pipeline has pipes, but it's going to be my shelf. And I'm going to keep it on my shelf because I'm not convinced that I want to keep Barrage. I want to try it, like I said. Again, I'm definitely not going to keep that abomination Power Grid. I mean, it's just bleh, puke, blech, yuck, disgusting. And
That box.
so yeah, I'll keep Pipeline. It was a fun game. I've only played it 2 or 3 times, but I've enjoyed it. I think the first time I really played it wrong though, because I feel like our points were way off. Like I feel like Daniel, you had like 680 million points or something to my
Yeah.
like 220.
That's how you know I
Right.
taught it really well. When I do like lap people by 300
Yes.
points or so,
Yeah.
it's a sign of a good game. And
All
a
right.
good teach.
Well,
All
there
right,
you have
guys.
it.
So
Yeah,
Nintendo
yeah,
NES is Andy's shelf.
Yes.
All right, guys. Well, Play Shelf Trade is one of our favorites, and this was one of my favorites Play Shelf Trades to do. So I would really curious on what you would categorize these 3 games as well. Would you play Shelf Trade, Barrage, Pipeline, and Power Grid? Let us know in the comments below.
Thank you for watching this clip from Around the Board. If you'd like to watch the full episode, please click on the link down below. Around the Board is essentially a game show featuring 4 board game enthusiasts that discuss board game topics and news in a competitive format. Whoever wins gets to talk about whatever he wants at the end of the show. So please join us, won't you, Around the Board.